Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I am Eva Medilek, and I have a surprise for you today. I have a special guest with me, Tiffany West, who is going to share her knowledge and expertise as an emotional care coach. Now, she is the owner and CEO of Interior Health Design LLC, which is an inner wellness life coaching company that promotes healthy living and soul based healing from the inside out. She's an emotional care coach. She specializes in helping women transition through hard times, helps them feel at ease in their bodies so that they can experience more peace and stability in the process of change. So we are all learning how to process change. So thank you for joining us this morning, Tiffany.
Thank you, Ava. This has been amazing. Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet
Yes,
you.
say hi in the chat, everybody. Where are you tuning in from?
Hi,
I said
Cherish.
Cherish already said hi. We love our international audience. I'm in California. Where are you, Tiffany?
I'm in Georgia.
And Tiffany's in Georgia. So we're on two different coasts right now. But I love the beauty of technology where we can all be together and share our wisdom and knowledge to help one another. So
Absolutely.
tell our audience, our listeners. Oh, Brooks from Ohio. Hey, girl. Ramona's from Romania. Oh my God, I have lots of friends in Romania as well, or from Romania. Hi, Rendell. So tell us what an emotional care coach is, and what problems they solve for people.
Absolutely. So I can speak for myself. I don't know any other emotional care coaches out there, but
Okay,
if you are,
okay.
yeah. But I really got into this work because I really believe emotional health and emotional care is at the root of our happiness. I started my journey as a health coach back in 2016. I was working full time in the corporate world, and my health physically was failing me. And I was too young for that. I was in my young 30s and I was just having ridiculous symptoms. I was in debilitating chronic pain. You name it, I had it. Digestive issues, hair loss, asthma, eczema, heartburn, GERD, chronic pain. It was just, the list went on, and I just knew I was too young for that. So I set out on a journey to, with doctors, of course, like we all do. And over 7 years of doing that and not getting the answers that I needed and not feeling better, it just really sent me into a place of internal reflection, really looking at what is going on with me. Why am I seeking help outside of myself? And when that wasn't happening, I got very hopeless and it led me home to myself. So I really just started to unpack what was going on inside of me. And I started with changing my diet, of course, like most of us do, really working on my mindset and my beliefs and things like that. And that was very helpful. It was really the catapult that shifted me into changing my lifestyle and creating healthier habits. But there was still I just still didn't feel well. There was still something that was going on. And I just was really became a detective, like, I wonder what it is. And that's what led me into the realm of just studying emotional health and how when we don't heal from early childhood trauma and we don't heal from emotional wounding, how that actually shows up as physical symptoms and impacts our health and our relationships and our bodies. So that's where I got on the road to become an emotional care coach. I work with women to really help them regulate their emotions and get in touch with their emotions and understand what it is that they need on an emotional level. A lot of us weren't taught or modeled how to meet our own needs. We're typically taught how to meet the needs of everybody else and abandon our true authenticity and our true selves in an effort to preserve the relationships and the attachments that we build with our loved ones. And so I just got to a place in my life where I was just wanting to do that differently. And I wanted to put myself first. And it sounded great. But the guilt that came
Yes.
up as a
I can
result of
imagine.
taking care of me, it was just that was debilitating. And that's when my emotional care journey really started, when I really was confronted with the emotions I had been keeping down in order to preserve this version of me that made everybody else happy. Um,
Yeah, and it's funny because women deal with that more than men. But and I coach a lot of men. I coach quite a bit of men, and a theme that I hear the married men that are married to women tell me is, I want to learn how to deal with my wife's emotions. And and I really feel for the lovely men that are in my program, but you know what I hear them telling me about, maybe some hormone instability, if you will, or irregular, what is it, regulating hormones. I know that's something I pay attention to a lot in my life, is making sure that all of our hormones, and not just the female hormones, but thyroid, cortisol, stress hormones, all of that are being regulated pro- uh, properly. Brooke is so funny. She goes, "Who would have known that there were emotional care coaches?" Girl, I hear you. So yeah, and and some of our emotions, because we come into this world naturally, through our sex, being more caring and receiving and taking on other people's stress, trauma, and emotions, because we have naturally caregiving um, properties being a women. But some men, are struggling with some, what I would say, highly emotional women who don't know how to regulate their emotions or channel them in a more positive way to a conclusion. So, what are you finding are in your emotional care journey? Brooke said, "Sign me up." Brooke, we love you. We absolutely love you. What are you finding in your emotional care journey is the number one, and I don't know if it's even proper to say emotion, that women are struggling with? I know you mentioned guilt, and that's a big one. Even when I had kids, I bought a book called The Working Mother's Guilt Guide, and I learned to laugh at those feelings. Otherwise, I would have cried. But what are you finding women are struggling the most with?
what I'm finding in my own personal journey and the women that I coach, my clients, is shame.
Interesting.
And underneath a lot of it, and it's shame can be very silent and it can be very buried. And it can be buried under anger, it can be buried under sadness, it can be buried under guilt. So shame is really deep rooted because it's linked to our worth. It's linked to our personal individual worth on, if we're a good person, that feeling of not feeling good enough or always feeling like we have to do more in order to receive love or receive acknowledgement or attention or whatever it is that you're craving. And I know for me, that's something I'm still working on diligently to this day, is just working through the shame of just not living up to this expectation that's not even mine. I don't even know where it came from, y'all, to be honest
I
with
was going to ask you that. Where are these high expectations coming from? Because I know a lot of the work that I do, I do this assessment with my clients where we look at their early life experiences and how what was role modeled for us early in life are, affecting how we show up in our adult life. And a lot of it has to do with maybe if you've had a highly critical parent, an
you. Yes.
overprotective parent, certain cultures. Even I know I have a lot of clients that are of Asian descent, and in that culture, the pressure of getting good grades and kind of being perfect in school weighs heavy on them as well. um, so it's a good question to ask, and something we can all ask ourselves is like, where is this pressure coming from? Is it self-inflicted, or where in my life did that seed get planted that I needed to be at a certain level and that I'm not enough? I'm not there yet.
What I feel too, yes, our caretakers unknowingly, and this is not to blame anybody's parents or caretakers, but you just don't know what you don't know, right? And the older generations, they weren't taught how to heal their emotions. They weren't taught how to validate, your feelings. It's just like there's no room for feelings. We have to get out here and we have to survive. So bless their hearts, they paved the way on how we can survive and live in a world that's so cold and tough. That was the impression that they were getting, and that just got passed down to the generations after. But what I really believe, it's a lot of what's happening in the world and in our systems, just like you said, in our school system. There's just like this overarching message that you have to perform and you have to get this A, so to speak, in order to be worthy. So your worth is tied to something that you're doing or something that's happening outside of you. And what I teach a lot and my practice is really how to just know that you're worthy because you were born, and your worth comes from the inside, right? And caring for yourself from the inside out, not basing your worth off of something that you're doing, a sport or getting good grades or getting the good job or having the perfect house. All of those things are cherries on top. But if you're not feeling worthy just because without all those things, then that's when you want to start to look at, how have I been nurturing myself and how have I been showing up for myself, and who has modeled that to me, to really stop and ask me, how am I feeling? What do I need right now? And I think a lot of the root of it is because women and men alike, we're living year after year after year after year with these unmet needs. Need to be seen, a need to be heard, a need to be validated, a need to be loved, a need to be acknowledged, right? A need to be ourselves, always having to show up a certain way. Again, like I was saying earlier, and detaching from that authentic version of who we are just so that we can fit in and just so that we can get the love and acceptance that we think that we may be missing. Does that make sense?
No, it totally does. So how do we know? I mean, listen, the last 2 years for most people in the world have created a lot of what I call maybe mental and emotional instability, because of that fear of the unknown, what was happening with COVID, the economy, and we're still in that. I was reading a post from someone on Facebook today, how they were just confessing what they were experiencing emotionally for the last couple of years, and how they kind of checked out, withdrew, starting to gain weight. So our mental health and well-being is so important. And just with some of the mass shootings and what people are, road rage, and what people are doing to each other, um, really highlights the fact that we have to take care of our emotions. We have to control our emotions before our emotions control us. And that doesn't mean to deny or suppress or ignore them, but really, not have them overtake our next right action of integrity, if you will. So, what type of people, what kinds of clients, or what is their main struggle or challenge that actually has them seek you out to get a handle on things?
When they feel like they're out of control emotionally, when they feel like they're very anxious, they're experiencing a lot of self-doubt, and they just are at a crossroad and don't know what to do next. And what I'm finding, and it was the same journey for myself, is when I've exhausted myself into burnout trying to control the things outside of me. Maybe if I get in this new relationship, maybe if I get out of this relationship, maybe if I get the new job or start the business or have another child, or when my child grows up and goes off to college, maybe then I'll feel some sense of control in my life. And that's where they're looking for a sense of control, and not just control, they're ultimately looking for a sense of stability and peace. That's
Okay,
really
so
all that we're
control.
after. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that sense of internal peace. Because in a world that we're living in now, there are so many things going on that are outside of our control that are so unsettling,
Mm.
right? We're seeking that sense of peace and stability in things that are outside of us that aren't permanent. And when that goes away, then we're kind of left with not knowing what to do, kind of flailing around in the water, if you will.
It's interesting should say that. Last week, for me personally, I so many things were not working out. Were not working out for me, and I did a couple of posts about, I lost today, I lost this, I lost that, and it was so good. And here's why it was good. I had no nervous system emotion around some of the losses I was experiencing. And I'm not talking about loss of life or anything like that, but things that I wanted that just didn't happen, or or whatever it was. And And if for the first time in a long time, my emotions didn't have me feeling a type of way about it. I was really had this inner peace and grounding. And I've been in this work for, gosh, maybe 5 or 6 years now. And it's a journey, and I say this to help people think that this doesn't happen overnight. It is a process. It's a journey, and it's just really establishing habits, practices, and principles that, number one, help us to take care of ourselves, help us learn how to manage our emotions, experience our emotions without having a reaction or response to them, and really getting to that place where I no longer feel this inner angst, or it's, the decibel level of the inner angst is a lot lower, if you will. And I felt that this week, and I was like, what? Because usually I have to
For
sit
you.
and breathe through it. I have my habits and practices, but I was like, you know what? Instead of 20 breaths, I only needed 5 breaths on this one. And I was good.
Progress.
It's progress. It's progress. So I know you have something tonight that I wanted you to share with our audience, our listeners, that they might be interested in if they have a little time together tonight to maybe join you in something you're creating.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm hosting my first online challenge. It's a 3-day challenge called the Check-In Challenge. And it's all about tuning in and checking in to what it is that you're feeling and what you're needing so that you can start to have that internal regulation. You can start to really focus on healing and calming your nervous system, because that's really at the root of where that franticness and that out of control needing to regulate your emotions comes from, is because your nervous system is not feeling safe. Your nervous system is not feeling settled and calm and at ease. And so this is what this challenge is all about, is learning how to come home to yourself. That's what the journey is about. That journey is all about just coming home to yourself and learning how to meet your needs in a way that you just weren't ever taught or modeled. And it's okay.
Mhm.
It's not about blaming anybody. It's really just about becoming aware of, oh, I have needs and I get to meet them, and I get to learn how, and really get to learn how to reparent that little inner child in you that's just wounded. And when we have these emotional outbursts, it's just her throwing a fit, or him wanting to get your attention so that you can come home to yourself and start to really meet those needs. So the 3-day check-in challenge, it starts tonight, 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I can drop the link in the comments here. Um,
Yeah,
when
that
it
would be
says
great.
when it says comments, though, it doesn't give me a place to write the comment.
Oh, it
I
doesn't.
can just read them,
Can
but
you
I
do it in the private chat, and
okay.
then I'll copy and paste it?
Okay, yeah, there's
Would
no
that
problem.
work?
Yep, there it is there.
Okay.
And I just want to let everybody know that the link that she's showing you is to RSVP and save your seat. It's the event page. And then just make sure to check your email. There's next steps to follow to actually register for Zoom access. So you want to make sure you're registering initially for the RSVP to save your seat. And then you're checking your inbox to click on the link to register for Zoom access, or I won't be able to see you in there.
Perfect, perfect. Christine, you said you had a question. If you want to type it in the chat, we'll see if we have some time to answer it as well. But I love seeing that sometimes those emotions feel like our inner 2-year-old really having a little meltdown and a tantrum. But it's when we feel that nervous system, like you said, kind of out of control and acting up, that a lot of our confidence gets affected too, and we kind of doubt our abilities to figure things out. Where do we move forward from here? And then, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and then we start to kind of get disappointed in ourselves and blame ourselves and all of that. So, guys, I did put the link in the chat. There's something else you have. Oh, you've got a free gift for them. Oh, that's so cool.
It's
All right.
really, if you can't make it to the challenge, it's really just a free e-guide with
Oh, that's
11
so
steps on
great.
how to really reduce anxiety and start to create that peaceful internal
Put
environment.
that in
And
there
when
as
you
well.
start to regulate internally, it's amazing how things on the outside of you start to fall into place, and you don't have to work as hard. You don't have to hustle. you can just sit back and enjoy your life, and you can just worry about your own self and your own needs, and everything else will be taken care of when you operate from that place. It has drastically changed my life.
Wow, that's awesome. I'll be taking advantage of that too. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your calming, grounding energy, and actually giving us some tools to help us really get a handle on how we can care for ourselves emotionally, care for our emotions. We really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye now.